Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tales from a Retro Gamer. So Star Wars has been in the news a lot lately, as you well know, and with The Mandalorian and with Rise of Skywalker. So I thought this would be the perfect time to do a walkthrough of the Holocron Toy Store, which is the world's greatest Star Wars store. It is in Fort Worth, Texas, which is my hometown, and it's just an awesome place. I highly recommend it. Before we get to the walkthrough, I want to talk a little bit about growing up Star Wars. I've been a huge Star Wars fan ever since I saw the original Star Wars film, A New Hope, back in 1977 in my local mall. My brother took me to see it. I absolutely loved it, especially R2-D2 and C-3PO. They were by far my favorite aspects of the film. Of course, I love the space battles and everything else, but R2-D2 and C-3PO, absolutely loved it. And I was such a fan that I picked up Star Wars Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was the first novel, original novel, that was sort of set in the Star Wars universe. And I don't have my original anymore, but I did pick up this a few years ago intending to read it, like the reprint of it. Never got around to it. And back in the day, I also put together, when I was in junior high, I put together a Star Wars X-Wing fighter model kit. And I did pick up a reproduced version of it, sort of, and intending to put that together. Still have not done that yet. Anyway, so I'm behind on my Star Wars fandom, but I've caught up on all the shows and movies and everything. I just, the extracurriculars I haven't quite caught up with yet. But anyway, also back in the day, I saw Empire Strikes Back in theaters in 1980, and I, along with everybody else in the theater, purely spoiler-free, and when Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father." No, he did not say, "Luke, I am your father," because, that's sort of what everybody seems to think he said. It was, "No, I am your father." When Darth Vader says that to Luke, there was a gasp in the theater. The theater was full. It was, early in the run, within the first week, I went to go see it, couldn't wait. Spoiler free, without the internet and without Twitter and everything, we had no idea, didn't see this coming at all. It was an absolute shock. That was super exciting. And the audience, like I said, the audience gasped. It was so awesome. And, I saw Return of the Jedi, and I've been seeing all the Star Wars films in the theaters ever since. Been a big fan all along. And I also did, I think it was 9th grade, I did a book report on the Star Wars novelization. So yeah, so I've always been a fan of the series. Still a big Star Wars fan. I love The Mandalorian. It's basically a spaghetti western set in the Star Wars universe. If you remember the old Clint Eastwood westerns, it reminds me of those. It's just a lot of fun. And Rise of Skywalker, I enjoyed that as well. Obviously, it has some flaws, not a perfect film, and none of the Star Wars movies since the original trilogy have the heart and soul and sort of the spirit of those films. There's something missing, but I still enjoy them. Anyway, still a Star Wars fan, and without further ado, let's get to the Holocron Toy Store, my walkthrough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey guys, so as you can see, this place is just absolutely filled to the brim with Star Wars stuff, old and new, vintage and modern. Got t-shirts, books, toys, glassware, figures, posters, original posters, reprints, everything a Star Wars fan could possibly want. So we're gonna just take a look, check out some of the aisles, see what we got here. Every cool kid going to school needs a Star Wars lunchbox and backpack. All kinds of vehicles, prints, Star Wars Hot Wheels, very classic. Hey Boba Fett, what's up? Just incredible. Interactive toys, it's not just stuff for your shelf. Lightsabers and guns you can play with. Really awesome. The store is really laid out well, and it's great for kids and adults. There's everything from, the stuff you see here, stuff you can play with, masks you can wear, lightsabers you can fight your friends with, figures, more expensive stuff you can put up on your shelf. Just a massive variety of Star Wars greatness. And here we've got even some Star Wars board games, including Star Wars Monopoly. If you don't want to have that little shoe, you'd rather be the Millennium Falcon or something, play some Star Wars Monopoly. Star Wars Battleship, tons of cool stuff. Star Wars The Black Series. I remember when these came out, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. These had such buzz because they were so incredibly detailed, and just a really popular series. And they've got over here just a massive selection of them. Characters from, not just the original Star Wars, obviously, but from the movies of, the original trilogy, the prequels, the more recent stuff, Force Awakens, all that kind of stuff. Just Star Wars from every era. Thousands and thousands of figures. Now, I'm one of those weird people that liked The Force Awakens. It really divided people when it came out. There were haters, people that absolutely loved it. I've still just seen it once, but I really liked it when I saw it. I'm almost afraid to watch it again because I might see some flaws I didn't catch the first time, but I really enjoyed it. Not a perfect film, but I enjoyed it. Rogue One was obviously a very popular film in the series. And figures packed with comic books. This was a really popular line. See these everywhere. Anytime I go to comic book shows, vendors have tubs of these. They're very common. Speaking of common, this series was real popular as well. Power of the Jedi, and the Power of the Force over here as well. Yeah, these Power of the Force figures, you see these everywhere. They're very common. So the thing about this store is, it's every budget. Holocron toys, if you want the rarest of the rare, are just super common stuff to put on your shelf or play with. It's a really, really neat place. So let's go over here. I remember thinking this packaging was kind of interesting with the Darth Vader helmet. All right, guys, so we have seen a lot of the common figures. Over here we have Episode 1. A lot of toy retailers ordered very heavily on the Episode 1 merchandise because obviously Star Wars had been dormant for a very long time. And when Episode 1, anticipation for Episode 1 was absolutely huge. And it turned out to be not such a great movie, so a lot of toy dealers were stuck with a lot of the Episode 1 merchandise. They've got a lot of it here. You can still get the new in the package Episode 1 figures for, $8 or $9 for most of them. Pretty neat design though. Darth Maul, a favorite. And one of the things, the prequels are, hit and miss. One of the best things about them obviously was Darth Maul, hence the packaging there. Now guys, we have seen a lot of the common figures, a lot of the newer figures. Let's take a look at some really, really incredible vintage figures that they have under lock and key. Let's take a look. All right, guys, now we're at the really good stuff. The rare figures that were in stores in the late 70s and through the 80s. Stuff from the original trilogy, the original Kenner line. These are graded figures, still in the package, obviously, and just immaculate condition. It's incredible. This stuff is super rare, and you notice they have duplicate examples, graded, behind glass, because this stuff is worth hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of dollars. Lots of rare figures that are super hard to find, still in the package. Luke, Leia, Darth, all your favorite characters. C-3PO and R2-D2, gotta love it. Now over here is interesting. There were cartoons back in the day of Star Wars. There was droids and Ewoks. These figures are just super, super, super rare, and it's just amazing to me that they actually have duplicates of these, just in varying conditions. And some of them still have the little punch, like when you put it on the shelf at toy stores, put it on the hook. Some of these haven't even been punched. So that certainly adds to the value. But these droids and Ewoks figures are just outrageously rare. I really love this, the Ewok toothbrush. I love quirky little oddball stuff like that. That's really neat. And continuing over with the Star Wars Power of the Force figures with the collector's coins included. Obviously, most of these toys back in the day got opened up and played with by kids. Nowadays, highly sought after by adult collectors. Just an amazing variety of items here, including Return of the Jedi. Now, the original trilogy, a lot of people consider Return of the Jedi their least favorite of the three, but still better than all the prequels and all the subsequent films. I happen to be a big Jedi fan. In order, I probably like Empire best, followed by the original Star Wars, followed by Return of the Jedi. And then everything after that kind of lumped together, because there's just no beating the magic of the original trilogy. Holocron also has a lot of the original Star Wars figures out of the package, obviously much cheaper. Back in the day, their collecting was much different then. There wasn't really that much of an adult collector's market for this kind of thing, at least relative to now. And so most of these toys were bought by kids, taken out of the package and played with, and they're obviously much cheaper that way. They've got plenty of that stuff here. Now we're getting into some more vintage stuff, the play sets and all that kind of thing. Really neat. Now, let me show you this in particular. The Ewok music box radio is really cool. And the Ewok teaching clock. Now, whether you like the Ewoks or not, you have to admit that's pretty cool. And got some collector's plates here. Getting some more vintage stuff over here. And let's go to the big boxed vintage play sets and big the vehicles and everything. Just so neat. Just imagine in the 70s and 80s, kids waking up on Christmas and finding these massive play sets, vehicles, figures, and everything under the tree. You can repeat that experience now at Holocron Toys, but obviously it's going to cost you a lot more. Hoth, big fan of Hoth. I love that part of Empire Strikes Back. As you can see, this place is just incredible with tons and tons and tons of Star Wars stuff, including vintage posters. We've seen maybe about half the store in this video. If you ever get a chance, if you're ever in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would highly recommend going to Holocron Toy Store. It is just like nothing you've probably ever seen. And as Bill Murray once sang in Saturday Night Live, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, and may the Force be with you. Thanks, guys.